Welcome back for another movement flow. We're going to work through the whole body. You've got the option of using a chair, a box or a desk, or just using the floor space. Having an elevation may feel a bit more comfortable, or perhaps you have the right setup in your office that you could do these around the area that you're in. A yoga block of some kind is going to come in handy. If you haven't got that, then don't worry, you will be able to do all of these stretches without. And then apart from that, you may find something to place under your knee when we get into a hip stretch, cushion or an ab mat or anything that you can use just as some support, even just a hoodie rolled up, something that will just take the pressure off if it feels too much. So we're going to get into the flow. I'm just going to sit down and then hold on to my shin, interlace the fingers around the shin and then work into some nice big circles into that ankle. So as I'm coming up, I'm pulling the top of my foot up, closing the gap between the top of the foot and the shin, and as I go down I'm pointing down, feeling the muscles intrinsically in the feet, but the sole of the foot and into the calves, and then every sort of rotation, change direction, go the other way. So you can do this with or without shoes on, depending on the environment that you're in. I always prefer to be barefoot, but just do what feels right for you, as long as we're getting nice and deeply into that ankle. So nice big circles. You're trying to go through as big a range of motion as you can. You may have to start smaller and build into that, but you should start to get quite a bit of heat around the ankle. Okay, from there we'll release and go on to the other side. You can do this sitting on the floor as well, so if that feels more comfortable for you, go for it. You can also lean back against the wall. You can also do this standing, so you could stand, hold onto something or balance on one leg. So go with whichever variation works better for you in your space. And then release, shake them out. We're going to move into the hips. Elevate your foot on top of a chair, desk, box, anything you have, or you can do this on the floor in a lunge position. We're going to have both hands inside the front foot, and don't worry which side you start on. We're going to do both. The back hip's getting an opening here. You may feel it under the thigh on the front leg and into the hip on that side too. You could use a block if you have one to elevate the hands a bit higher, if you just need a little bit more help with this position, if it feels particularly tight. If you're a bit more open in it, you may feel like you can work your forearms down, trying to keep that length in your spine rather than really rounding or having one elbow lifting up. Trying to think about your belly button pulling forwards, eyes up. Go with what feels right for you, where you're getting a stretch, and you can gradually start to build that tension in, start to make it a bit more challenging throughout the time that you're here. So I like to also just add in some circles here too. And of course, breathe. I always think if you're in a stretch where you're struggling to breathe, you need to take the variation of that stretch back a bit until you can. So it might just be that you're pushing too hard too soon. We're going to switch side, set that leg back, bring your foot up. Just see how one side feels compared to the other. They may feel very different, they may feel similar. Just have a little bit of a wiggle about in it. Remember, if you tried the forearm stretch on the other side, you could try that here too, bringing the forearms down. press through that back heel as well, maybe get that stretch into the calves. And we're going to come out. We're going back to the other side again. This time, bring your foot up between your hands, and then you can elevate your hands maybe on your hips to come up tall, or you can elevate them on blocks if you have them, or maybe hands onto the platform when you feel fine. Remember, you can do all of this without the box, you can do it on the mat. So we're going into this lunge position and then into the hamstrings. And for the hamstrings, you want to be maybe allowing for some bend in this front leg. And we can also add some rotation, so you can roll the foot in and out. You'll feel different areas of the back of that leg getting stretched. But we want to be hinging at the hips, not folding so much. So think about tilting your pelvis forwards, like you're pushing your bum back. And you may feel such an intense stretch being quite upright that this is as far as you need to go. Have a little go at pushing your heel down for a few seconds and then relaxing it, and just adding a bit of that contract relax. Over time, as you're using your breath as well, think about hinging a bit deeper. Maybe you're able to go further into that stretch, perhaps adding those little rotations in the thigh by the foot rolling in and out, and then remembering to press down through that heel and release every now and then. After each contraction, as you push down, you may then find you can start to access a bit more range. And then we'll make this a little bit more dynamic, so we can come back into the hips at the front, into that lunge, and then into the hamstrings. So just keep moving at your own pace. If it feels better for you to spend most of this time just in one of these two positions, then you can. So focus on your breathing, focus on opening up, finding a bit more range gradually. So another thing we can do from here to build strength, where a platform can come in handy, is actually having a go at working the muscles on the other side of the joint. So if I'm adding those contractions and pushing down, engaging my hamstrings, I could also have a go at raising that leg up, engaging the muscles in the hip. Maybe for just a few seconds, hinge over, push down, and then also go into that lunge. We'll just do that twice, 3. So push down, and if you can't raise the leg up straight, you can either just raise it up to where you can, so it might be lower than the box, or try a bent knee variation where you're lifting and pulling up as high as you can. Push that heel down. And we'll do it one more time. Hover with a straight leg or a bent leg. And push down through the heel. And then come up. We're going to go to the other side. So bring your foot on top of the box. We did our hip stretch at the start, hands at either side this time, and then we're sending the hips back. Hands can be on your hips, remember. And remember, one side may feel very different to the other, so just bear that in mind. Square your hips, maybe bend the front knee. Think about pushing your bum back and tilting your pelvis forwards. You don't have to be able to fold all the way down, just go to where you're really feeling like you're getting into that stretch. It feels perhaps a bit tight, and then gradually seeing if you can slowly make your way a little bit further into it. So breathe. As you take those breaths in, you feel a bit more of where that tension is in the body, and as you exhale, we're trying to learn to lengthen and find a bit more range. Okay, we can add those little pushes down through the heel as well, so push into the heel. Take a big breath in, exhale, maybe relax a little bit more, turn off that contraction, and then have a go at just moving back and forth, so into the hips, into the hamstrings. So we could add those leg lifts on this side as well, perhaps. Remember, you can bend the knee and pull the knee up. It requires you to balance on that leg as well. So I'm going to hinge down and I'm going to push that heel into the box. relax and I'm going to bring the leg up, engage the front of the hip and hold. And then lower down. You may just have to have a little bit of a breather in between each one. Depends how intense that feels and how much potentially you're going into cramp. And then again, hinging over, hopefully not going into full cramp. Being on the verge of cramp is a pretty good place to be though, challenging that end range. Remember, we can be here. Push down through that heel. Remember also this knee can be bent. Last one, bring yourself up, hover the leg. And fold. And then from there, bring yourself back out. We're going to turn side on and elevate the foot. And then come into a variation of a Cossack squat. You can hold this position, feel that stretch into the inner thigh, maybe move in and out of that position. So into your Cossack. You can still lift the heel if you need to. And the foot position, I could also have a go at rolling the toes up and down, see how that feels. You'll get a bit more hamstring related stretch when the toes are turned up, a bit more into the inner thigh when the toes are turned down. And then from here, I can also add a bit of a sequence. So I go into my Cossack, turn into my lunge, which is hopefully a little bit more open now. And I can continue to turn. So my foot that's on the platform is going to keep turning out until you're on the outer edge of that foot. Lift up through the hips, squeeze the inner thighs together, and then reach your top arm up and over. You get a stretch all the way down the side into the outer hip, into the glutes, come back to the front, back into a Cossack, and stand up. We'll do that twice more through. So Cossack, turn into a lunge, continue to turn. Let this foot keep turning out onto the outer edge. Lift up through the hips rather than feeling them sinking down here. You might feel that and then try and lift from that position. Raise your top arm up and over. Bring it back. Turn back to your Cossack one more time. And obviously you can still do this on the mat too. It doesn't have to be elevated. I love this one here. It gets really into the outer hip and glute. And then bring yourself up. Let's start by elevating that foot. Coming into your Cossack squat. So the knee is tracking the toes. Feeling that stretch into the inner thigh, into the groin, and moving in and out. Remember, you can do this ground level as well, or holding on to something in front for a bit of support. We're going to add in our little flow. Cossack, turn into your lunge, hands are inside that front foot. Remember, we're now going to continue to turn onto the outer edge of your front foot. The back hip turns as well. So I'm squeezing the inner thighs together, lifting the hips, reaching that top arm up and over. Bring it back to that lunge, back to the Cossack, and stand up. And again, so twice more through. Cossack position, lunge, continue to rotate. Lunge and Cossack. It's nice to get that lateral bend into the spine. I always feel such a good stretch in that one. So as we turn and lift the hips. And back up. We're going to move into a downward dog from here, and you can do this with your hands against a wall. You can elevate them on the platform like I'm going to do, or you can do this on the floor. And we'll have the option of moving into a bit of an upward dog too, which will vary depending on which variation you're doing. So all we're going to do is have the hands elevated or on the ground. The knees can be bent, take your head through your shoulders. And then the knees can stay bent or you can start to straighten them. We're just going to rock side to side, get into those lats a little bit, see how they're feeling, see how you're feeling through the ribs. Every now and then you may want to come forward, so we can either just go stand up if you're against the wall, or come to a bit more of a plank on the box, or go into an upward dog, which you can do from here, pressing through the shoulders, opening your chest, squeezing your shoulder blades back, or obviously on the ground, press through the tops of the legs where you can, or just lie on your tummy and press through your forearms. Any variation is fine. So moving back into the shoulders, having a little wiggle side to side, coming forwards either just to that plank position, opening your chest. And what we're going to add from here is rotation. So we're going to get nicely into the lower back as well as the backs of the legs. Remember, your knees can be bent, but also depending on how far you reach through the hand will be relative to you and your body. So we can reach towards the ankle, calf, thigh. We're just trying to thread through, looking under the armpit, and then bring that hand back and switch. Play around with your stance as well. Maybe take the feet further back, see how that feels. Have them further forward. If this is too much, try it with the wall. And then on your twist, perhaps just hold it there too. So actually hold the stretch, look under the armpit, rotating through. Stay for a couple of breaths. And then maybe come forwards again, have a little break. Open your chest. We'll do it once more each side. So hold each one for a couple of breaths. Reach towards that opposite leg, higher if you need to. Big inhale. As you exhale, try rotate a bit further. And then switch. Nice big breath in. Exhale, twist. And then release. What I like to also do from here is almost like a bit of a cat-cow, more on the cat part. So I'm tucking the bum under, rolling up through the spine, and then going into that extension, opening your chest, and then going back, tucking your tailbone, rolling up through your spine, rounding it out, and then slowly opening the hips, opening the chest, lifting your eyes, squeezing the shoulder blades back. That once more, back to downward dog. Tucking your tailbone, rolling up through the lower back, mid-back, upper back, all the way through, slowly opening through the hips. Now extending the spine, opening your chest. And release. We're coming into a couch stretch to open up into the thighs, one stretch that we all need more regularly just from the amount of time we spend in sort of flexed positions. So there's a few different options. I might prefer this one kneeling, where you can tuck the tailbone, open the hip and just stay tall here, keep the glutes on. You might get enough of a stretch there. You could also try it, full variation here where I'm going to hook the foot over the top or against the wall. Can feel quite intense on the toes, the top of your foot. So you could even place like a t-shirt or a jumper behind your foot and one under your knee. Then I'm going to think about, rather than being in this position, which is where my body's going to probably want me to be, I'm going to tuck the pelvis under, press that hip open, and immediately feel that stretch increase through the hip. In this position, you can have your knee, if you're doing the same version as me, further away, or you can gradually start to take it closer, but try not to then tilt your pelvis forwards like this. We want to tuck it under and come up taller, but have your knee further away if this feels too much. Nice big breaths. Keep reminding yourself to squeeze your bum. So it's working that opposing muscle group again. If I can engage my glutes, I'm going to lengthen through the hip flexors more. And then I want you to have a little go at, just in intervals, pressing back through your foot. So pushing the foot back into the box. Maybe just for 5 seconds, and then relaxing again, but keeping the glutes on. I like to add a little lateral bend here every now and then too, which really helps to loosen off when I'm feeling tight into the outer hip and lower back. So the arm on the side where the knee is in front is going to thread inside it. The other arm is going to reach up and over. So we're trying to keep that movement lateral, not tipping or hinging there. Reaching up and over, expanding through the ribs. And you can move in and out of it. And then one last one is to perhaps, and this might not be for everyone, but shuffling that front foot forward a bit. I'm then going to lunge deeper into that couch stretch, taking that stretch a bit higher, and also raise my arms up and overhead, and then come up and bring the arms down. Just do a couple more of those. Reaching, lengthening, still trying to pin my bottom ribs down, still squeezing my bum. And one more. And then gently bring yourself out. Onto the other hip. Find your variation where you're feeling a good stretch, but it's not like unbearable that you want to be out within 5 seconds. Build into it gradually. So you may find one hip feels very different to the other two. Just be mindful of that. So I'm bringing myself up tall, breathing, squeezing the glutes, not sticking my bum back, tucking your bum under, pressing that hip forward. Also, I sometimes find if I'm thinking about pulling the front foot back towards me, and you can do this in your lunge position on the mat, pull the heel back towards you, feel the engagement in the back of this front leg, feel the anchoring sensation, how the hips square, and we get a better stretch or a deeper stretch on that side too. Something else to add in. Just breathe, feel that lengthening in the hip. Remember, the bottom knee can be further away if you're doing the same variation as me. Using a couch or a chair or a box can allow for a little bit more space for the top of that foot. If it feels tight, a wall can feel quite intense there. But remember, you can just use something soft behind your foot as well to help. So I'm going to add in some lateral bends. You can choose to do the same or stay where you are. Arm reaches inside the leg, and then the other arm's going to reach up and over. I'm going to go for 3 repetitions. Really try to lengthen, make sure that I'm then not switching off in the glutes. Keep the hip open, expand out through the side of the body. And going for 3 overhead reaches. So pressing back through the foot still as well, squeezing your bum, opening up into the front of the hip. At the higher in the hip, you're going to feel it. Lift your arms up and back down again. And then when you're ready, you can come out. 2 minutes can really feel like a long time, can't it? I'm going to work into the shoulders, the spine and the hips a little bit more with a variation of a reverse tabletop. So you can do this on the ground, hands, fingertips facing back, feet roughly hip width. First of all, maybe just start with sending the hips forward and opening your chest. We're going to progress it to lifting up, and then maybe even some reaches. That might not feel accessible for everyone. I want you to try, as long as the platform's nice and stable, just sitting on the edge of the chair, just make sure it's super stable. And then all we're going to do is lift the hips, press through your shoulders and really open your chest. So the hips open too, shoulders are opening. Here, squeeze the shoulder blades back. And as you take your bum back, to compress a little too, so you feel that in your core. If you're doing this on the floor, you're literally lifting and then lowering, okay? You might find just the platform feels more comfortable. You might want to try a bit of both and just see what works for you. So again, lifting up, opening the chest. Lower ribs are still drawing down, squeezing the glutes. And then send your bum back. You can do it more of a reverse tabletop with straight legs, lifting the hips, opening the chest here, holding it, building some strength. It's not very often we do things throughout the day where we're really opening the chest. We spend a lot of time in this position instead. So this is a nice way to actually strengthen and lengthen and open up those tight areas. So just keep going. You can keep your knees bent so your feet don't have to be in that full plank position. And then maybe you stay here. That might be plenty for you. Give it a go at perhaps taking one arm off, opening this bottom armpit, lengthening through your spine and reaching up and overhead, bringing it back. And again, the other side. You may find this more comfortable, you may not. Then lifting up here, reaching over this way. So give it a go. Let me know in the comments how you find this one as well. So as I'm opening up, I'm opening this bottom armpit, really expanding through the upper back. The lower ribs still want to feel some engagement, drawing down rather than flaring them. And then reach up and overhead. This top arm is trying to reach as far over as it can. Imagine you're going to take it all the way to that platform. Bring it back. And then from there, you can rest. Might feel good as you're seated to just tuck your chin, peel down, fold over the legs, and curl back up. So you can just do some seated spinal roll downs. If you're using the mat to lie down, hug your knees in, maybe rock side to side, or even go into more of a happy baby. Just rock out through the lower back. Any variation to flex your spine. And if you're doing the seated roll downs like me, you might just want to hold it in the bottom. So fold, roll down. And when you've had enough, bring yourself up. Final little thing to finish on is some neck rotations. So squeeze your fist gently, tuck your chin, take your head across to one side, lift up, keep your jaw closed. Look over the other shoulder, bring your chin down. Go the other way. Let's do one more. Thank you for joining me for another movement flow. Let me know how you got on with that flow in the comments. I'd love to hear how you found using an elevated platform, if you did, or if you did it all on the mat or using the wall. Let me know how you got on. If you would like me to film or record a specific flow using any of those variations, just let me know below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you for the next flow.